Everyone. I'll let everyone connect to audio and then we'll get started. All right. So welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Jessica Taran Salazar and I just want to welcome everyone to our webinar, Exploring Canvas, hosted by Stacy Cool. So before we begin, we do want to ask that you all mute yourselves just so that we don't have any disruptions. If you think of a question, you can utilize the chat. I'll be helping our presenter today moderate that, or you can just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. A little bit of background about our professor. Sorry. She has been a high school educator since 2005, has taught in Seattle and Hong Kong. She's primarily taught chemistry and AP chemistry, but she's also taught biology, AP environmental science, and the KC math at a secondary level. Mrs. Cool has 6 years as an adjunct professor of chemistry at Merced College before she joined our CalTeach team at UC Merced. In addition to teaching at UC Merced for CalTeach, she works full-time for Merced Union High School District at the district office, working on some curriculum support, new course development, and technology integration support. We're very excited to have you here, Stacy, but with that, I will go ahead and hand it to you.
Great, thanks, Jessica. Yeah, so I forgot I had given her a biography because I jotted all this stuff down here. We're a small group, so feel free to just jump in and unmute yourselves, share your video if you'd like, or utilize the chat box. I was telling Jessica as we were waiting to get started here, I did not prepare a formal presentation because I needed to know where you're all coming from. So I didn't want to give you some canned, this is Canvas presentation. I wanted to help meet your needs. And so if you could maybe type in the chat window or unmute yourself and just tell me your experience with Canvas and what you're interested in learning today, that would be really helpful for me to show you some things.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm fairly new to Canvas. I'm comfortable with some pretty basic things, but I'm a beginner.
Great. What's maybe your big takeaway or your dream thing? Gosh, if I could learn how to do this, this would be awesome.
I'm embarrassed to say I've never sent out a group email through Canvas. Okay. I would love to learn how to do that today, but I can look that up too, so I don't want to hold back others.
There's 5 of us. You're not holding anybody back. So yeah, that is definitely something I can show us how to do. I think some of the really neat features of Canvas are the way you can treat groups. I think it's a lot easier to handle discrete groups of students or whole class than it is in something like a Google Classroom. So I made myself a little list here. Ooh, are there ways to move Google quizzes over to Canvas, or do you have to start from scratch? Okay, I'm not sure about that one. That's one we might have to Google. And then assigning a peer-reviewed project. Nice. There we go. One of my high schools is trying to contact me there. I just put them on mute. Okay. Other questions or things you're looking for here in Canvas today? Okay, so Denise has used Canvas for quizzes and homework. Replace Canvas groups. Oh yes, I think the group feature in Canvas is probably one of the most underutilized things. So I will definitely show you that. Okay, so keep dropping those questions in there. I jotted them down, but as more come along, we'll add some things and get to them. I'm going to start from the very beginning, and let me see here. I want to share my screen. So some of the things might be a little limited in what I can show you because I'm trying to be cognizant of student privacy. So there'll be some things that I may not be able to show you all the detail that I would like because I want to respect our student privacy. So as Jessica said, I work in technology integration, and it's really important even for our students who are adults, even though like here at the university, I deal with people who are over 18 years old. I still want to make sure that I am respecting their privacy. So you're going to see some of my dummy shells today, and then I might show you a little bit of my live stuff. But again, I want to be sure we don't see too much on there. So I'm sharing my screen here, and this is my high school district. So I work for Merced Union High School District. We are high school only. We cover Merced, Atwater, and Livingston. We have 6 comprehensive sites and 4 alt ed sites and about 500 teachers. And of course, with distance learning, we've really had to step up our game. We were already a district using Canvas for professional development, but not in the classroom. So we are a Google district. We use a lot of Google Classroom stuff, but our teachers, it's really different in terms of what they're doing. So I've been helping a lot of Canvas neophytes here. So this is where I'm starting. If you're working with a school district, you might get one of these little invitations here at the top. My district manages, we just don't get to create our own Canvas classrooms willy-nilly, just like the same at UC Merced. So our administrator assigns us our classes, and then you usually accept them at that point. When they are brand new, you can see here, I have my published courses. I've got 6 published courses, and I have 3 unpublished courses. And I see your question, Melissa. I'll show you how to do that. And whether or not students see the published course the same way I do. The answer is it's pretty close, but not quite. So I've got this brand new course right here, Earth and Space Science, and you'll notice it doesn't have an image. I open it up, and it's just my district's default. And I have all these different things here on the side. Really, the first thing you want to play with, and I'm going to go a little slow because I'm not sure if maybe you're investigating your Canvas side by side. So I want to make sure I'm not going too fast. Usually right down here at the bottom is settings. And settings is where you can tailor a lot of the different things. So Melissa had a question about how do I put an image in? That's it. It's right there on course details. So I can choose my image. So for my UC Merced courses, I've got images on mine, and if I go ahead and go into those settings, as we wait for everything to load, and I go over to course details, you can see I have that image right there, and that's what shows. This is a brand new course, there's no image. So I can just choose my image and drag and drop or upload it then at that point. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to take that time and walk us through it right now, but that's where you would do it. There's a lot of nice features that you can add in, like a start and a stop, if you're adjusting the time in the semester. Whether or not students can participate before the course starts. So at UC Merced, a lot of times our courses might open before my first actual day of class, but maybe I don't want my students getting into it before that first day of class, or maybe only just a few days before to check out the syllabus. I can restrict when they can get into it there. Most of these things you would get into specifically, you know, for those specific courses there. But what's really neat, here's one of the things that is a huge time saver that you have to do right away. Let's say I'm teaching 2 or 3 sections of this earth science class. I need to add those other sections right away before I do any other customization features. Because if I do that, then I can put in assignments one time for all 3 of my sections. Okay, I'm just reading Ramona's question there. So linking the courses can be a huge time saver, so much like Google Classroom, if you're familiar with it. You can then assign a quiz, an assignment, or something to either one section or all sections. Ramona's asking, how can she create groups for math to give differentiated instruction? That's a great question. We can do that in groups as well. And then, and different groups, a different quiz. Ramona, is it possible, do you get to create your own Canvas courses? Can you have different Canvas courses for different levels of math? And you're welcome to unmute yourselves, anybody, especially if we're talking about your question. Because depending on if this is, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm not sure if my internet's that strong. My students don't have the ability to be able to accept the course. Like, they don't know how to do the step-by-step, and they're changing so often. Like, they'll be doing so much growth, and then I have to move them to a different group.
Okay. Yeah, then we definitely don't want to set up different Canvas classrooms. You want them in, you want them done, and you want to control the groups. So yeah, I totally get that. So I'll come back to that here, and we'll get to those group questions here real soon, because that seems to be a popular question. But I just want to emphasize that course section point about having multiple courses linked. If I go back to my UC Merced one, and I go back to all my old courses, at one point I taught 2 sections of our 120 course in the same semester. And when I linked those courses, it just made my life a lot easier in terms of how I assign the work. Instead of having to design the course 2 times over for essentially the same class. I'm going to finish off settings here and get to some of that other stuff. This navigation here, people don't necessarily realize you can edit this navigation. So for me, I always like to put, I put everything in modules. So I like to put the modules up at the top. And my class, we're not going to use Edpuzzle. So I'm going to disable it. And I'm going to disable, you know, new analytics. Okay, so you can disable all sorts of things and then potentially add them. I can drag in and add Flipgrid. These things are dependent on what your school system has set up for you. And then I can save them. So that will look different then for students versus, you know, the teacher in terms of what I've assigned. And it essentially deletes it then from their view. So if there's some things I know I'm never going to use, then I can just remove it, disable discussions. And then I can always add it back in later if I decide to do discussions, but then it keeps this side kind of clear and minimalistic. So particularly if you're dealing with younger students who have problems finding things and navigation, that might be the way to go. I think there was a question too about how does it look for folks. You can always go to home, or well, anywhere, but home is usually the best spot. And right here on the side, student view shows you exactly how it would look. So if I click student view, this is an unpublished course, so they're not really gonna see anything. Okay, so no modules have been defined. So let me take you over to my UC Merced one. Let me go into a current class. And what I love about Canvas is when you're starting a new semester and teaching the same course at a university, or or if you're teaching the same class next year, you can import all that old material, so you don't have to put all the links and things in again. So here I'm in my teacher view. This is one of my current university classes. We're in week 5 right now. So if you look in week 5, I have these things here that do not have this green published mark. I have these teaching notes here that says do not publish. So this is my own little cheat for myself to help me keep organized. Instead of me looking all over for my teaching notes, I know when I teach complex instruction, I need these things, but I don't want the students to see them. So I just put in this little header, teaching notes, and then I don't publish them. My week 6, notice my week 6, no green published check mark. No green published check marks in these future weeks. I don't have them entirely done. They're not ready for student use. So if I go to that student view right here, now we'll see it how my students see it. So I see everything in the course. I get this nice purple fuchsia outline, so I know I'm in student view. And if we scroll down, try not to make people sick, sorry. In that week 5 where I had that teaching notes, do not publish, it's not there. And look, all my future weeks, 5, 6, 7, 8, those are all hidden from student view. So somebody asked a while back about publishing. That's one way. Okay, that's how you can see what it looks like exactly on the student's end. And I pop into that every now and then just to double check my publishing there. This little red thing means it's no longer available, the deadline's passed. I can then just click leave student view and I'm gone, okay? So groups was a popular question. So the way you would create groups is I would go over to my people tab. So here's my people. And right here at the top, it just defaults to everybody. So if you have not created groups, it's going to default to everyone. And I'm gonna take us to somewhere else. Oh, because I'm still in student review. I'm gonna take us somewhere else. I don't feel comfortable showing you the things with my university students. I'll show you one of my teaching PDs, and I did see that hiding published courses question. So, so here, let's see. This one, I go in here. Same thing, I go to people after it finishes loading. I go ahead, I click the groups tab. And so it gives you a little bit of information about it, but I just click the blue group set button. So test group. Now, here's a couple of options you have. You can allow self sign up where students pick their groups. Sometimes I allow that, especially like if we're talking about for final projects and I'm letting them choose their partners. So I can choose allow self sign up, or I can assign the groups. And let's say I want to split my class into 4 groups. So I can set it up like that, where I know I've got 4 topics, so I want 4 groups. I don't care how many people's in them. Or I can say, I want to split groups into students. I want groups no bigger than 3. And then this is if remember how I talked about I could have different periods of earth science. I want to make sure that I don't have a kid from period 1 working with a kid from period 3. So I would then require them to be in the same section. If you're only teaching one section of the course, it doesn't matter. You can create the groups yourself, or you can create them manually. So I'm just going to have it do it for me. So I go ahead and click save. And it randomly assigns my students. So everybody over there just got popped into a group. So that's one way you can do it. So you can see I have 5 groups because I said no more than 3 people in a group, and that's what it gave me. If I want to create another one, so math group, math groups. We'll just do math groups to get to Ramona's question about differentiated instruction. So I know I'm going to have 4 groups. I've got 4 different levels of instruction. I'll create groups manually. So, because Ramona knows where her students are and what they need to be in. So I'll create groups manually. I hit save. And now I need to actually create the groups. So there's one more step if you don't randomly assign them. So now I got to create the groups. I've got, let's see, I've got the stingrays. And then you can just leave this blank if you're not worried about maximum group size. I got the stingrays, and I've got the cheetahs, and I've got a group called the bears. And then I can just take my students and drag them over. Oh, Nick's a stingray. We'll drop him there. Kyle's a cheetah. And I can just move my students on. Oh, I didn't mean to make Ileana a cheetah. Ileana's a bear. And I just drag them over. I've got these unassigned students. So let's say you have a student who joined your class in a week. You get a brand new student. They would show up over here on the side. So I love that about Canvas when we have students adding our course and I've already made groups, then they just show up under unassigned students and I drag them in the groups. When you set up groups, can you do it for an individual assignment, or are students always in the same group? So that's a good question here. So now I'm going to create an assignment. Let's take a look at that feature. I'm going to create an assignment. Waiting for it to load. Okay, group test. And it's still loading. Assignment info. Points, whatever. Assignments, whatever. You know, what if you've got different categories of assignments. Points. So this is something I didn't know about Canvas until, no joke, 3 weeks ago. You can just make check boxes about whether or not it's complete or incomplete. So you don't care about the points, just did they do it or did they not? You can change this to complete, incomplete. Totally a game changer when I just need to make sure they turn something into me. Okay, submission type. We're gonna have a text entry. They can also submit me a Google Doc, so website URL. Don't care how many times. Group assignment right here. This is a group assignment. I'll get to that in a second. Select group category. So we got two types of groups here. I want my math groups, not my test groups. So, you know, if I have different groups for different things, so if Ramona has her math groups and she has her reading group, she can have reading group 1, reading group 2. And then this is kind of a neat feature too. So assign grades to each student individually. Let's say, you know, kids in that group, they're working independently. It's just, we're just using it for differentiated instruction. Then you would assign it individually. But if this was a group project, if you check this button, then you only have to grade the project once, and the kids only have to turn it in. One kid has to turn it in. So if there's 5 kids in the group, as soon as one student turns it in, it shows as completed for all 5 students. And when you give that student the grade, it populates the grade for all 5 students. And for me, for my group final projects, this is a game changer. I grade 6 of them instead of 30, and it just makes it a lot easier. But if it was just as an assignment category, you could definitely leave it as assigned individually. If you forgot to set your groups, oops, I need a new group, it just bumps me over and I can create my new group category right then and there. Somebody asked a question way back in the beginning about require peer reviews. This is where you would select it. And this is where you could manually assign the peer review questions, or automatically assign who's going to read whose, and then whether it is anonymous. So Susan, was that what you were looking for? That was your question. I scrolled back and found it.
Yeah, that I was looking for. I have a project usually that I'm doing lesson plans, and I like to have 2 or 3 people working on one lesson plan. And I had sort of basically manually by email told them, you know, you want a group and you want a group and you want a group, and you make group 1. And it became very fast, very tedious, and I had trouble to kind of keep track on who's who and what is what.
Yeah. So this is where you could work on those features. And I do want to say, if there's something I don't cover or you don't remember and you get stuck, Canvas actually has really good online help tutorials. That's how I learned some of this stuff myself. I learned the other stuff by trying it and screwing it up and then trying it again. But yeah, I have actually gone to the Canvas tutorials, and that's how I figured out how to link courses. So I didn't have to put in assignments, you know, 3 times for teaching 3 different periods of the same class. But yeah, always, you know, go to those Canvas help, and they've got really good walkthroughs and videos that are short. There was this question here too. Somebody asked about assigning it. I think this was still kind of Ramona. So Ramona, if you want to chime in here about individual names. I'm trying to think how to solve your problem, because I know what you're talking about. I think, you know, if you could put in 4 different math assignments, but you can't put groups in. Oh wait, looks like you can. Oh, that's different. That's not, I didn't see that the last time there. So I think this solves your problem, Ramona. And once you've made the groups, this worksheet, it's just for the stingrays. So get rid of everybody else and now just give it to them. It's for the stingrays and the cheetahs. How does that work for you? Okay, well, maybe she can't join us or she's busy typing. Let me see here. So how can you copy your course over for the next academic year? I'm going to cancel this. So usually what I do is, let's get out of that because that's my people. I don't want you to see my people. Oh, and there was that question about hiding published courses. So let's go back to that. So Melissa asked the question. So like right now, this Kung Fu Canvas level 2 course that I was in, you also can change colors yourself right here. Sometimes I give them different colors. I know that's not what you asked, but I'm trying to find what you asked because it's been a while since I've done that. But this is one, this is just moving them up and down. This is it right here. It's unfavoriting. If you unfavorite it, it's not going to appear on your dashboard. So I want this off my dashboard, and that's now not cluttering things up. I still have it. That's what that warning box was telling me. So if I go to courses, I see all of my courses. So there's that Kung Fu Canvas again. I can still get into that course, but that cleans up your dashboard for you. So there's my course still. Oops. This just collapses it. See, you can see here, this is a very short menu. I'm in this course as a student, and the course designer reduced the menu. So I don't have all that extra fluff there on the side. I'm just curious about something there. Okay. How do I copy a course over? So what I can do is I can go into, this was my empty class, my Earth and Space Science. I can import an existing content. So if I was teaching this again next year, I would import existing content and copy a Canvas course. Now, you notice there's a lot of different options there. If you're at the same school and it's just a new school year, just copy the Canvas course. And you have to have been the teacher, okay? So these are the ones that I am in control of. So those are the only ones I can select. So if I wanted to do this, it's copying my Desmos course. I usually want all content. And here's a cool thing, you can adjust the due date. So let's just say, so like I do fall spring here at UC Merced. So fall starts in August, but then my spring starts in January. So my original date was February 11th. We're gonna run this again, but we're gonna start it on October 5th. And I ended on April 22nd, change that to, whatever. And it'll shift the date. And honestly, I have yet to get the dates right, but at least now they're approximately in the right spot. If you don't want to be bothered with that, just click remove dates, and then you can import the course. So I don't really want to do that right now, but it just pops up a message saying, hey, it takes a little time. We're going to import your content. And honestly, it usually just takes a few minutes, even for my more complex classes. Another import option. So let's say you leave your district, all right? You leave your district, and I highly recommend you do this. This is a feature I just learned. Canvas course export package. So I have my UC Merced Canvas, and I have my Merced Union High School District Canvas. And I was able to take my UC Merced course and copy the content using this Canvas export package, and it gave me a file. And then I went over to my Merced Union High School one, and I imported that content. So I took a course from one job and I brought it over to a different job. And if you think, you know, if it hits the end of the school year and you're changing districts, export your course content. So I'm on import right now, but you can export your course content as well and take it with you. Then you've got a file and you're not recreating the wheel. So that's something really cool that I just figured out because of this webinar, is you can, as long as you get that Canvas export file, you know, you can transfer it anywhere that you would like. We're kind of hitting to the upper limit of our time, and I think I hit everybody's questions. I just wanted to put it out there again.
Stacy, could you show one more time where the export button is?
Sure. Let me.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
That's fine. I probably didn't show it really well either. So let's see, dashboard. Go back to one of my courses. This is one that I'm in control of. So most things are found in settings. I think that is where I did it because I have done it all of once. Oh, there, it's right there on the side. Export course content. So when I'm in settings, I can export and I can import. So export type, I wanted the entire course. I didn't want a quiz. And then I just created the export and I went into my new shell with a completely different employer and then did that import process. And whew, it was so nice not recreating everything. Because let me show you here. I am a huge fan of modules. Granted, what I'm showing you is a university class, so that I only meet with once a week. But right here at the top, these are the course materials we use all the time. Presentation materials, and then week 1, week 2, and so on and so forth. So it just makes it really easy for all of us to follow. You know, doing this in a classroom, I would make it unit 1, unit 2, and then students can collapse them. You can also work ahead and lock these so that students cannot get into them before you are ready. So if I go into that course, oops, I was right there already. If I go into that course, all these things so far are unlocked until I get down to the very bottom. And right here, will unlock October 6th at 4 p.m. Now, clearly Stacy is not ready because she has not hit publish and there's not all these green check marks. So that's what I'm going to be working on over the next few days. But when I get all nice and ahead, I can have green check marks everywhere, but students aren't going to be getting into it, you know, until the module unlocks. You can also set what's the default screen. Since I run everything out of modules, my home screen is set to drop students straight to the modules. So if you want students always to go to announcements or you know, assignments, you can change that in settings to make that the default home screen. Cool. Other questions here?
It looks like we don't have any more questions. Thank you, Stacy, so much. I think I hope we can all say we learned something. I know I surely did. We do want to take 2 minutes to ask all of our participants to take a quick Google form, a little short survey to give us some feedback on today's webinar. I also want to let everyone know that our webinars are recorded and they're available through our CalTeach website. I'll post a link to that on our chat. But you can see upcoming webinars there as well. The next one is on October 8th. So we'll be hosting our Understanding the Power of and Capabilities of a Zoom Virtual Classroom. If you haven't already, head to our webpage and check out the flyer and register. And we'll stick around if you have any questions. But yeah, everyone have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Great questions.